the ones about one person, one vote, you don't have to be James Madison, to think that one through. Although Madison, I think, did anticipate in certain ways. And so, starting, I think, a few years ago, I started to think, because I've been writing about this issue off and on since 2000. Actually, I edited a book called The Unfinished Election of 2000, after the 2000 election, where I didn't know the rest of the electoral college. What's occurred to me recently is that if you think about American political history, since 1992, every president elected since Bill Clinton took office has suffered from what I call legitimacy crisis. Meaning that wholesale attacks have been made on, not on the outcome of the election per se, but upon the kind of, in a sense, the moral, the normative, the principled legitimacy of the person who was elected. Let me say what I mean. In Bill Clinton's case, I happen to think, again, I said I'm a native Cook County Democrat, so some of you can discount this. I happen to think Republicans have convinced themselves that they had a lock on the presidency. Well, Bill Clinton demonstrated that was untrue. Republicans had a hard time accepting it. So we got involved in, in all these kind of crazy scandals about Clinton, including Whitewater, etc. The whole Slick Willie image, that somehow Clinton was some kind of interloper who really should never have been elected. He wasn't really, kosher for the election or so on. But I think Clinton suffered those crises. I think the New York Times actually had played a non-trivial role in enhancing this, for better or for worse. When we got to George W. Bush, of course, the fact that he won office, with a minority of the popular, without having the plurality of the popular vote, was another question. I think the case of Barack Obama, I think, which many of us naively thought would, bring us, if not to a post-racial society, to, still be a great moral milestone in American political history. The virulent racism that Obama's election released, still bedevils us, would be another attack on the legitimacy of the presidency. The whole stupid thing about was he actually born in Hawaii or Kenya? Trump's original foray into politics. That's an attack on the legitimacy, not the outcome of the election, but its legitimacy, whether you're willing to accept it as being morally correct. And of course, you could say going into the last election that given the widespread loathing that Democrats felt for Trump and the Republicans expressed for Hillary Clinton, we'd have the same result. So I actually think this. I think this is a different issue. What I want to argue is, it seems to me that one way, I don't know if you'd eliminate, but one way to mitigate this problem is to say, if you truly had a national popular election, winning that election, not thinking the union is made up of red states and blue states and having battleground states and so on. If they truly had a national popular election from which somebody had to emerge, I'm not sure you wouldn't necessarily have to get to a majority, but you say you have to have at least 45%. If you need to have a runoff, it's not a big deal. The French do it, the Brazilians do it. It's not hard. Or of course we could also have ranked choice voting, but I think probably better to have a runoff after 2 weeks. But the idea is have a runoff election. It's not that big a deal. Other big nations can do it. So why not us? It's not that hard. But I happen to think we have a legitimacy crisis. And since the presidency is the dominant institution in modern government, making presidential power be, not just legal, but legitimate. It can never happen with Trump, whatever he does. This guy, part of this guy inhabits a moral swamp. And everyone who associates with him is dragged down into it. And this is the first time the White House has to go to a conservative job fair to try to get people to work there. I don't know if you guys saw that story. Imagine having to advertise to work in the White House. I have a student actually very close to him, who's graduated Stanford a few years ago, has been working for Peter Thiel, who was one of Trump's backers in the Valley, where we are. And he had the chance to go work. He came down to me. I'm very close to this guy. He came down to work. I said, ordinarily, he had a chance to work in the White House. Of course, you should take it. To do it with this guy, you could doom yourself. It would be a black mark. I happen to think that's good. I happen to think that's good advice. My partisanship, notwithstanding. In the case of Hillary, the depth of Republican hatred for Hillary, knows no bounds. We should still lock her up. So I hope Flynn has to serve some time. Anyhow, so you know, so we have that issue. You know, so the legitimacy issue, I think is you know comes into play. The other one we're talking about, just go back and point us at the very beginning. If we're going to change this, by the way, is where the League of Women Voters comes into play. The LWV should not just treat this as an advisory issue or whatever your categories are. You should put this at the top of your agenda. This is exactly the kind of civic society institution that ought to be making the case for this. Somebody has to take the initiative. Every large state should take the initiative. They should go back to 18th and 19th century practices and try instructing their congressmen to start pushing the issue. You know, but I happen to think that the only way we can do this is by Article 5 amendment. You know, under the rules laid down in the Constitution. I don't like the so-called NPV. Let me just explain why. So the theory here is that, again, as I said before, if you get states with 270 electoral votes to pledge their electors to whichever candidate has the popular plurality, majority, or whatever, then you could circumvent have you go through the amendment process and get to a popular vote result through this kind of strategy, or I should say this kind of contrivance. There is a major problem with this strategy. The Constitution says that compacts among the states have to be approved by Congress. Now there is an argument, the argument the advocates of the NPV make is that there is some line of cases, I haven't said the cases, there is some line of cases which says that, you know, not every compact has to go before Congress. So let's say you're skiing, I haven't skied ever since Stanford played and got to the Final Four, was it like in 1997 or so, probably it was. You know, if is it North Star or whichever ski slope straddles the California Nevada line up at Tahoe, I'm sure somebody in this audience knows. You can ski down into Nevada if you want to, that was fine, but you can do it, you know, if you want to. So maybe, you know, negotiation of ski slopes or safety standards on ski slopes doesn't require congressional approval. But if you think you could alter the basis for electing the most important officer in the United States, for that matter, the world, by some interstate compact, it's never going to happen. As soon as this thing would go, people would start objecting to it in Congress, and you would have a deep legitimacy crisis. I just don't see how. Maybe I'm naive, you know. They do come from good bound. So I just don't see how that would happen. And I actually think it would be better. This is a critical issue. You have to be prepared to argue it out on its merits. 40, 50 years ago, 1970. Not quite 50 years ago. Actually, during Nixon's presidency, the amendment about Electors got to the House of Representatives. Got hung up in the Senate, although I think the opposition to the Senate was not the usual thing about small states will block it. I think it had more to do with issues of race. And some, you know, white Southern senators worried that a popular vote would do too much to enhance the political power of African Americans. So I think, you know, when people say to me, you know, as Jimmy Carter said this to me once, what's the point of saying this? There's no chance we're going to amend the electoral. No sense we're going to elect about. Well, if that's your starting position, there's no point talking about it. Of course, you're not going to do it. But if you're politically engaged, then the problem is let's think about ways to do it. Let's think about ways to buy off the small states. I mean, why not? Why not give them some incentives? Why not think about ways to enhance their political representation? But I do think in the end, we need a national popular vote, but the only way to do it is for organizations like the League of Women Voters and others to make a case for it and start arguing about it. So thanks very much. I hope I said a few things that kept you awake here in the mid-afternoon.
Anybody who wants to ask questions, and just to save time so we don't have to repeat what you say, we ask you to move over to this side and use the mic so you can say it once. And so just kind of line up if you have questions. Okay?
Sir. Yes. Thank you. I also, for a long time, have believed that popular vote is the best way to go. My concern, and you touched a little bit this at the end, is right now America is so partisan. I think that those who vote were split roughly 50-50, and you've got a large number, say on the other side, Republicans, conservatives, whatever you want to call them, they have a strong incentive not to give up their advantage. If I was part of the other side and I thought, well, I wanted to see Bush beat Gore, I wanted to see Trump beat Clinton, why would they give up the current situation if it's weighed in their favor? And again, I want to see us go to go to one person, one vote as you do, but I think that's one of the biggest blocks right now. And the other thing that comes to mind is wait long enough that there's going to be a huge demographic surge of minorities, but that's not going to solve the problem. Like you said, right now we have a lot of incentive for the old white male conservatives to say, let's keep with what gives us the advantage to get pushing Trump in there.
Well, I mean, right, there are lots of ways to forecast the future of American politics. So one of the anomalies of, the 2016 election, one of the things that drives, serious Republicans, that they're still Republicans in us, is the idea that, and George W. Bush was very sensitive to this, that the nature of the American population, it is dynamic. Old white guys like me are getting older. There's a surge of minority voters. The Republicans are doing nothing at all to attract minority voters. Constituencies you think they might attract, I think like including Asian Americans, I think seem to be voting more Democratic than one might have putatively supposed would be the case. I don't know. I happen to think, there were a lot of anomalies in the last election, from Rakove's role. Rakove's a super decent guy, but maybe political voter at key moments. I think, Trump's margin is actually essentially 70,000 votes in 3 states. That's a pretty trivial number, et cetera, et cetera. I tell you what, one thing I've learned as being a historian is one thing the election reminded me of, is you should never predict anything. Social scientists predict. And actually, we had a dinner with the Stanford Professor about 2 weeks before election. I'm saying, Rob, I couldn't sit down with a smarter group of people than I wanted to. Like Doug Rivers, the guy who ends up UW. Dave, I mean, just the real, we can look at just what's going to happen. But the one thing I learned is that if you're a historian, to be consistent with your trade, never predict anything. So I won't make any predictions, except to say, hey, that I hope it will be. I think what's true. I think the coming election, the congressional election, is a critical election for a whole array of reasons. If you look at it 2020, I don't think Trump has inherent advantage. I mean, how Trump increases, it's not very big how Trump would ever increase his popularity in any significant way. So I'm not sure how well I answered your question, but your question has some wide-ranging implications.
Again, my biggest concern is how do we convince a good chunk of the country that...
You have to argue about it. Yeah, but that's getting harder. Look, there's a terribly different, I have a colleague at Stanford, Jim Fishkin. This is a very different way to think about democracy. But Jim does what's called deliberative polling. He literally does it around the world. He's done it at the PRC, he's done it for the EU, he's done it in Greece, he has a big project in Africa. There are democratic mechanisms available where what people do is citizens, some institution has to decide some issue. You get a random sample of the entity, whatever it is, available. They have to sign up to go to like a weekend of meetings, they have to read to prepare for it, they have to engage in moderated discussions. And then you measure, you develop the polling techniques to do this. You measure the shifts in viewpoint that take place once people are not allowed just to head their way, whether they watch, Rachel Maddow or, one of the idiots on Fox News. So it actually, Jim said, there are ways to kind of moderate. So we have to think, actually, if you did this on, it'd be actually a great way to think about selecting presidential candidate. Although, we're too good at the primary system to make that happen. So I guess what I'm saying is I think if you believe in democracy, as I do, as a matter of principle, you have to think about, you include the LWB, you have to think about ways to make it work. So, ma'am.
Hi. I graduated high school the year marked by Centennial, 1976. And
You're a kid.
I'm a kid. And I've always had this mythology taught to me that the vote for electors will then vote their conscience. The idea that the electoral college should have the opportunity to make better choices for us because they're supposedly more informed. And now we're to the point of tweaking the rules that it's just flat out percentages. We just have robots passing that vote along.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning things about superdelegates, which may or may not have existed in '76.
Well, that's a very different issue.
I guess my bottom line is if we were coming down to just a mathematical toying and tweaking, but we're still stuck with a two-party system, and they both fight each other out. Is there any way to beef up a third option. If I don't like A or B, why can't I vote for C? Why can't that one vote?
Yeah, you can always vote green or, whatever, you vote for Ralph Nader.
But it doesn't matter.
And, I think the best way to answer this, well, one of the two things. One, the first position is about electors. Whoever taught you that was obviously a mistake. They've never worked that way, and I explained why that was the case. As soon as we have contested elections, the mythology, or let's say the naive hope, that in the absence of political parties, you can recruit some, sincere, but not overly committed group of citizens. It never worked that way. Never has. Never will. So I'm sorry that your teachers gave you this mythology, but that was, as I think my Russian confessed, the framing, again, this is a very confusing, very daunting problem for the framers. There was no example for what they were doing. The state level, interesting, if you look at revolutionary politics, New York and Massachusetts, between 76 and 87, they actually had popular elected governors. And really the two most influential governors in revolutionary history on this basis were John Hancock in Massachusetts and George Clinton in New York. And they both were beneficiaries of popular elections. So there was a bit of a basis at the state level for how this might work. But again, to go from the state level to the national level, that's a three standard deviation shift. It's a one-way reaction to go without mixing my metaphors here to go at that scale. Your second point, I happen to think that, let's say we had a parliamentary system, a la Great Britain or any Western parliamentary democracy. If we had a parliamentary system, we would not have a two-party system. I'm sure we would have coalitional politics. Yeah, it's an enormous country, I think what the framers realized, once Washington retired, what the founding generation realized was that the presidency was so important. If you want to control the government, you had to control the presidency. And it's the fact that the president was not elected by a legislative majority, but was elected through some other mechanism. That was the most powerful incentive to create a two-party system. If we had a parliamentary system, that incentive would disappear. You'd have coalitional politics. It'd be like Britain, it'd be like France. Well, France actually has a strong presidential system. It'd be like Israel, where actually when coalitions are formed, the parties actually write contracts as to what they're going to do. It's not just you get a coalition together. You actually have to legally oblige yourself to do that. So so I think that would be a completely different policy from the one we have. And it's hard to imagine how that would take place.
So the previous two folks the previous two individuals sort of asked the questions for me. I was watching a lot of far-right social media during 2016, and they were explaining the Electoral College mechanism, and they were counting on it, okay? So that they were counting on their candidate to win, and it worked in their favor. They understood the mechanism, whereas when I was looking at the other end of the spectrum, they were counting more on the popular vote and saying, oh, there's going to be this last-minute thing to save their candidate. It was very confusing. It was very confusing for me. And I was paying attention to the primaries months earlier, and I'm like, what is this with the super delegates, in the Democratic Party? And I was like, that caused me to leave the Democratic Party because I didn't understand why we needed super delegates. And then there was this whole thing, pledge delegates, super delegates. I'm like, well, okay, why can't people just pick their candidate for the Democratic Party? And why are there these super people there?
Well, they're super, okay, so this goes to the basic argument of what is a political party, right? So the rationale for super delegates, which actually I accept, I don't have a problem with this. The rationale for super delegates is that there are established party officials who would, just as I said, who would be better informed than Congress in terms of picking the president? So the idea of super delegates is that in fact, members of Congress, et cetera, other officials, are instrumental to the very existence of the Democratic Party. And so the system should not be based solely on primaries. And I think a big part of the story is you have to ask the question, what's the advantage of having a primary system? And then once you think about that, the other complication is that how the primary system operates, I haven't had integrated equations since the Lyndon Johnson years. So that's the last time I did any calculus. So you would need a pretty powerful equation to factor out or whatever, identify all the factors that weigh into on a state-by-state and party-by-party basis. The rules for appointing delegates vary state-by-state and also party-by-party. I mean, parties at the state level have some significant role. So I'm trying to kind of rearrange your question, in a way that's, I don't agree with your position, but where it's sympathetic. So the major change in American politics since I was a kid, and I think especially since the 1970s, has been the reliance on the primaries, on having political primaries to pick your candidates. And when you wind up with candidates that are suspicious, that criticism of the primaries arise. But like, if you look at the Republican primary, to me the interesting thing, it's not the super dog, but the interesting thing you were to say going to 2016 is Republicans actually had a lot of decent looking candidates. I mean, I would never vote for any. But even so, they had a number of respectable office holders. And the guy who's the least qualified of all, the most demagogic, the least informed, guy has no position, he's incapable of coming up with a coherent paragraph. He doesn't understand what his government's policy is. They have to reverse themselves 2 or 3 times. They just had to do it the other day. The stuff with the immigration bill. Trump says one thing in the morning, the White House has to correct in the afternoon. The guy who's the least informed, most demagogic, the least experienced member of all, somehow became the dominant figure in the Republican Party. The interesting thing about this is a big argument about the Republicans that academics, scholars have made. And the argument is the party decides. That in the end, down to 2016, however much noise and toing and froing takes place in the primaries, in the end, the figure who the party establishment really wanted has gotten the nomination. They haven't always been strong candidates. I mean, Bob Dole was not a strong candidate, and so McCain turned into against Obama was not a strong candidate. But even so, some elections you're going to lose if the party gets the choice. Trump really destroyed all that. And now, of course, the amazing thing is Trump is remaking the Republican Party's image. And, abandoning all the positions they've historically, I think there's actually any guys are fans of the Americans, which just came to, the slideshow. I think with the Democrats campaign, they should do Republicans with the hammer and sickle. The same way, I got to suggest this to somebody. But I think the super delegate thing, it's to say that, because the primary system in this way is, I don't want to say it's erratic, but, it may not necessarily have the party's interest in money. To me, it's an open question. Why should Bernie Sanders, as a socialist, be allowed to run as a Democrat? To me, that's a serious question.
He caucuses with them. He's been there.
Yeah, well, if he wants to run for your nomination, he should be a Democrat. It's fine to be, but, if you want to be a socialist, then run on,
Democratic socialist.
I heard Norman Thomas, who was, year to year, Brenda's, I heard him speak when I was a kid. For a long time, he was the socialist kid. That's just a little quibble on my part. Young lady?
Why have we never seen our Congress present a national voting day where people actually get off of work to vote?
Oh, you mean on, well, Congress has the authority to do it. I think it's a great question in the sense in which, we, at least the issue, to what extent are we committed to the right to vote? And, a good friend of mine, actually a very close friend, Alex Kazar, who published a book called The Right to Vote. Came out right during the 2000 election. Got good publicity because of this. Alex tells an important story, and he's not working on the electoral. But he has a book out called Why Do We Still Have the Electoral College? It was a bit delayed by health issues. So Alex, makes the argument that there have been numerous attempts to restrict access to the vote.
Right.
Other guy was saying, but there's just a story in the New York Times today about the latest developments in North Carolina. It was turned into a sink of, a moral sink of criminal behavior, the endless. So, elections are too important. And you think we'd all be committed, after slavery on this.
Well, the thing is, like you say, there's gerrymandering going on. There's all the shenanigans in certain states. We won't call them out here, but they're there.
Yeah.
And I would think, going back to the way I was taught to, these individuals in our Congress are there to represent us and to represent the constitutional, framework. Why don't we have a national voting day? Why aren't people given the luxury of not having to take time off of work or stand in line for,
Yeah, that's what I say, because dominant interest want to reduce or suppress the vote. I mean,
so that's the bottom line.
yeah, the issue in North Carolina now is to eliminate, I guess, the final Saturday before Election Day has been a very popular voting day, particularly in the minority community. So the North Carolina Republicans are trying to keep the same number of hours available, but eliminate that final Saturday. But then of course, the North Carolina Republicans have got a lot of questions because they're so blatantly racist that they still make it easy for courts to overturn their proposal. So.
Okay, thank you.
Just pretty much the same. Voting, you mentioned it's a right. I tend to argue it's not a right, it's a duty. So why not enforcing people to go to vote? I come from a country where it's mandatory, we have to go on a Sunday morning, everyone cares it.
Right.
But in the end of the day, it represents population. So if you go for popular vote, I believe that it's not realistic if you do not bring everyone to this vote.
Well, that's a great question. I don't have a definitive answer. The best one I can give is I think Americans are libertarians. Really said, we have a libertarian streak.
Yeah.
We want to be free from government control and not subject to government direction. And it's a great question. Economists love to discuss it because economists say it's wholly irrational to vote. I mean, in terms of any theory of opportunity costs, what would be a better use of my time? I mean, unless you can somehow convince. Of course, occasionally we have elections like that. There was the legislative election in Virginia, which actually would have given the Democrats, I think it would have given them the tie in the lower house of the Virginia House of I think it was the House of Deputy Delegates. Actually, that one was determined by a single vote. And of course, think about Florida in 2000. I mean, out of an electorate of 6 million, what's I think the margin between the final margin Bush and Gore was like 537. That's like one vote, in effect. But economists say it's irrational, and I do think the libertarian argument works very well. So I mean, it may not convince you, and I think the other question is, how different. I'm not enough of a political scientist to say what would be different about the outcome of elections if we had mandatory participation. I don't know enough about who are the non-voters to speak confidently about what kind of distortion takes place.
Hi, I was wondering, is there any argument for the courts, like the Supreme Court, to get involved in terms of equal protection when you see things like, somebody in Wyoming has like 3 times the political influence than somebody who lives in California in terms of the Senate?
I mean, because it's fixed by the Constitution, so you can't, you can say there is a normative understanding of representation, which I express, one person on a vote seems to me to be the proper democratic principle. But there's a specific constitutional rule. And not only that, this is actually, I used to tell my Stanford students, let's say you go to a mixer, I still tell, you go to a mixer, there's something you want to pick up, what's a great opening question? Ask them, what's the only clause of the Constitution not subject to Article 5 amendment? I mean, if you can start with that one, it's all downhill. The only clause of the Constitution that can't be amended is a state's right to an equal vote in the Senate. And there's actually a kind of funny little flurry of debate.
3 Californians.
Well, let's see, then that gets to the question of what is California? Put the old aside. So there is, it was kind of funny little flurry of debate where the way about the amendment clause, then the small states get nervous that the victory they think they've won is not going to last. So they insist it has to be locked in the Constitution. Another little wrinkle in American history. I think we'll take one more question. That's why you're standing here.
A quick comment on previous commenters' lament about the Electoral College being able to cast their conscience, or vote in their conscience. I just wanted to point out that many states have faithfulness statutes now, which would require the electors to follow the vote as given. And there are civil penalties for violating that.
Yeah.
I believe it was tested and found constitutional, although it didn't go to the Supreme Court. It has been generally held up to be constitutional. I don't think all the states have faithful statutes, if any do. But my question is, you may have addressed this, and forgive me if I missed it, but have any legislatures selected electors without a popular vote?
Historically?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, if you go back to the 1790s, yeah. I mean, I give you an example of Massachusetts. There's also interesting disparities between, if you look, a lot of states were flipping rules in 1800. Having learned the lesson in 86, and there were states which where the congressional vote goes one way and the electoral vote goes another. I mean, there's big debates, actually. There's a buddy of mine from Yale, who I think has all mixed up. Some people argue that the reason Jefferson beats Adams 1800 is just the 3/5 laws, which might be true if you held everything else constant. The problem is you can't hold everything else constant because the states manipulate all these rules. There is no, all the number of states are manipulating things. And therefore, if you want to try to get a better sense of how the electorate is divided, if you look at the congressional results, they suggest that actually the Republicans are by far the stronger party than Democrats. But your first point about faithless electors, I don't have a definitive position on this except to say that insofar as we've had them, it's never mattered. That's to say, there's been, like a woman who voted, the woman from D.C. who threw away her floor ballot in 2000. It had, although that was a close election.
Right. They've all been symbolic.
But so the problem is that, nobody really cares about it too much, and you don't really know what would happen. I mean, I do think, can I say one more thing and then whatever. Larry Lessig, who used to be at Stanford and now at Harvard, and he's a big electoral reform guy. Larry was the guy behind what were called the so-called Hamilton electors idea back in the fall of 2016, which was attempt to say Trump is so dangerous a figure that electors, and also let's draw up on the popular vote too. So a combination between Trump being dangerous and the disparity between the popular electoral vote, that Hamilton electors, what Hamilton electors, should act as a check, and this may be like your position, should act as a check on a mistake by the people. And I felt historically there's a very problematic argument, and since I do think historically, because the electors these were alternative mechanisms of election. It wasn't that the electors were thought to be a check on the people, that the people would be able to make an effective choice. They need something else. Once you realize that people are capable of making an effective choice, then the idea that the electors are kind of independent check, and the checks and balances scheme, that became much more problematic. So great, thanks a lot.
Now, for those of you who might get some handouts, and maybe we didn't run out, but if you'd like to get your stuff electronically, you can go to this website at the top, click on calendar, over here, bring it to this page, click on that read more, you'll see the handouts there, and some links to this videotape will be up when it's available, and a couple of other lectures that Dr. Rakove gave are also already on there. So this will stay in place for a long time, but the key thing is it won't be an upcoming event after today. You'll have to click here at the archive to get to it, and then click on the read more, and you can find all those resources. So thank you all so much for sharing your time this afternoon with us.